Welcome back to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. My name is Derrick Brown. In today's video, we're going to talk about 10 must-have running backs for the upcoming fantasy football season. But before we get to those top 10 names, I've got to talk to you about a beautiful giveaway courtesy of our good friends at Trophy Smack, the #1 destination for epic fantasy football trophies. If you want a chance to win the ultimate symbol of fantasy football defeat, the Golden Toilet Trophy, all you got to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on any of our videos. That's it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure you turn on notifications so you can be alerted when newer videos are up and to claim your prize. Let's get to the 10 running backs. All right, first running back up here on the list, number 10 has to be Jaleel McLaughlin. I've talked about him all offseason. You know the guy, you know the player, you know the name, you know the talent. What we saw out of McLaughlin, and I get it was a smaller sample size last year, was amazing. 14th in explosive run rate, 5th in missed tackles forced per attempt. We know the passing down back role in a Sean Payton offense is immaculate. It's amazing. Last 9 years, this man has coordinated an NFL offense. He has never ranked lower than 4th in targets to the running back position. Jaleel McLaughlin, look, should be considered to be the favorite for that role, and if he locks it down, he is going to crush. He's a must draft running back. All right, next guy up here on the list, another running back that just crushed in every efficiency metric you could possibly look at from last season, and that's Jaylen Warren. I understand he's going to share a backfield with Najee Harris, but guess what? Running as much as the Pittsburgh Steelers are likely to do with Arthur Smith at the controls, there is going to be plenty of volume. And what did Jaylen Warren do last year? He was top 5 in explosive run rate, missed tackles forced per attempt, and yards after contact per attempt. So even if the volume is not amazing, it's not 15 to 17 touches per game, we're talking about a player that can make the most out of that volume and quietly has awesome standalone value and contingent upside to be an RB1 if anything happened to Najee. In 50% of his games last year, Jaylen Warren finished the week in weekly scoring as an RB2 or better. So a player that in a lot of different instances, and again, we're hoping more run volume, a better offense for the Steelers this year, but last year, he was an RB2 in half of his games. So, as a player that you're going to be adding to a lot of your squads as your RB3, drafting him as your RB3 or RB4, the upside is there. Draft him now. All right, we've mentioned 2 young, talented running backs that we got to draft. Now let's go a little bit the other way and get a veteran in here that I think you need to be drafting as much as possible, and that is Aaron Jones. Now, I get it. A little bit older, there's some injury concerns. But what did we see out of Aaron Jones last year that should give us hope? When he was finally healthy, he was amazing. Weeks 15 through 20, he averaged 21.6 touches per game, a shade over 120 total yards per game. In that stretch, amongst 47 qualifying running backs, Aaron Jones was 8th in explosive run rate and 10th in yards to contact per attempt. So while we're worried about the age and we're worried about the injury concerns, those things are baked into where he goes in drafts. This year, look, you're talking about an offense that we don't know if Jordan Addison is going to miss any time. We know that TJ Hawkinson is going to miss time. So outside of Justin Jefferson, who's getting targets in this offense? Aaron Jones could quietly just gobble up all of the targets that he needs to be a wonderful running back in 2024. All right, next player up on the list, Rhamondre Stevenson. I'm going to say it right now, off the hop. We were a year early on Rhamondre Stevenson. Look, if you drafted him last year and you drafted him aggressively, you got burned. You didn't like what happened. RB27 in fantasy points per game. He averaged, sadly, only 71.4 total yards per game. But Rhamondre Stevenson right now, healthy, walking in as the clear leader of this New England Patriots backfield. And, I mean, look, Jacoby Brissett, if he's under center for most of the season, we'll see what we get out of Drake May. I think this offense is being severely underrated for what it can do as far as putting up points. I'm not telling you this offense is going to be top 5, top 10 in scoring, but bottom 5, bottom 3 offense, I think they're better than that. They have better players in this offense. And Rhamondre Stevenson, you're buying the dip as you should be. Again, he's in this video, so I want you to draft him early, often, and always. Last year, when we saw him actually healthy before he was lost to injury last year, weeks 9 through 13 amongst 48 qualifying backs, we saw that tackle breaking ability, that immense upside come back for Rhamondre Stevenson. He was 13th in missed tackles forced per attempt, 3rd in yards of contact per attempt. As a player that just blew it out in efficiency metrics in previous seasons, I think we get that player in 2024, and that makes him a must-have running back. All right, from one disappointing back to another. Look, again, we're talking about guys that have uber talent, and hey, Kenneth Walker fits the build as the number 6 player on this list. Kenneth Walker, the laundry list of injuries last year: bruised shoulder, strained oblique, chest issue, and a tender calf. Again, we didn't see a full season of health for Kenneth Walker. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, at this point, can we really hope for that? We can. He's still young. He's still super talented, and I think this backfield is his. Seattle's coaching staff is talking about Kenneth Walker as a possible 3-down running back. That should make everybody's ears tingle with excitement. This is a player that, on a per-touch basis, has been nothing but awesome. 4th in missed tackles forced per attempt last year. If he gets all the work, or say 65, 70% of the work this season, and he can stay healthy, he will be amazing for fantasy. All right, before we break into the top 5 players on this must-have running back list, we got to sit here and talk about this. Remember when you first started playing fantasy football? And it was all fun, right? All amazing. It was great. But now, when you draft, do you feel like you're studying for a math test? This year, you can reclaim that same enjoyment that you had all those years previously with the Draft Assistant. Draft Assistant simplifies the entire draft process, making it the easy way to dominate your fantasy drafts. It connects to your draft, keeps track of everything that's going on, and tells you who the best pick is when you're on the clock. All you have to do is focus on the excitement of making your perfect picks. So this season, work less and win more with the Draft Assistant at fantasypros.com/draftwizard, or download the Fantasy Football Draft Wizard app right now. All right, breaking into the top 5 here, people. Number 5 on the list is Isiah Pacheco. What could happen for him in 2024 is amazing. We got a small snippet of that upside last year. Now, I know he was solid. He was good. He could be a wondrous RB1 as the RB14 in fantasy points per game last year. In those 4 games, we saw him play without Jerick McKinnon on the field. He was awesome. Averaged 20.2 touches per game, a shade over 100 total yards per game. Pacheco could be the every down back in one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the NFL. Don't be surprised if he is a wondrous high-end RB1 in 2024. You need to draft him. All right, we just talked about a beautiful offense to invest in the running back position. Let's get to another one here with Achane. Yes, I get the risk. I understand that. But if you want to swing from the heels and select a player in your drafts that could be a league winner, a guy that could be a top 3 running back in fantasy, and don't tell me that it's not possible. You saw what Raheem Mostert did in this offense last year. That could be Achane in 2024 for a player that, look, we have an 8-game sample last year when he played at least 41% of the snaps. In those 8 games, he averaged 113.8 total yards. He was top 3 in almost every single efficiency metric you could possibly pull up. I'm not telling you that he needs or will get 20 touches per game. 15 total touches per game. Good. That's great. In one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL, I want to invest and take the home run swing as much as possible with Achane for this upcoming fantasy season. All right, moving over from an explosive young back that we don't know what to do with, let's go a little bit to the veteran aspect here. My number 3 player for this running back list has to be King Henry himself, Derrick Henry. Draft him as much as possible. He's a unicorn. So I'm not going to back off of him just because of the age, because on a per touch basis last year, Henry showed no fall off. Among 68 qualifying backs, he was top 12 in both explosive run rate and yards of contact per attempt. I understand we have some concerns about the Baltimore offensive line. I think they're going to be fine. Plus, you have the dual threat of Lamar Jackson. With his running ability, it's going to create running lanes for Derrick Henry, and we've seen the big man just crush people in the open field. I'm not going to bet against him doing it again this season. All right, this number 2 player on this list might surprise some people. Well, maybe surprise some people if you're just now tuning back into the redraft season, but I've been talking about him all offseason, and I'm not going to stop talking about him here. Brian Robinson Jr. is being slept on, and his upside is awesome. He can be that goal line, that early down hammer for Cliff Kingsbury offense. We've already seen this play out previously for Kenyon Drake, James Conner. I want you to draft as much Brian Robinson Jr. as you possibly can. That's why he is this high on this list for a player that, hey, how many of you out there watching this video right now know that Brian Robinson Jr. was RB22 in fantasy points per game? I could feel the eyebrows raising collectively. Do you also know that he was 13th in yards after contact per attempt? Oh, and guess what? For all the pass game worries with Austin Eckler, this is also a player that was 5th in yards per route run. Brian Robinson Jr. could be a 3-down workhorse this year. At bare minimum, he should be the goal line back for the Washington Commanders offense that is still being slept on. And yes, people, he should be ranked as a top 24 running back. Enjoy the value and draft him in all of your teams. All right, last guy I got to bring up here. And if I'm taking the swing on a running back in the first round, you better believe his name is going to be Bijan Robinson. And look, it's gone. Those horrible days of yesteryear, dealing with Arthur Smith and his usage of this player who is one of the most talented running backs in the entire NFL. We get the fully unlocked, unleashed version of Bijan Robinson in 2024. That happens. He can be a difference maker, a league winner. For all the talk about him possibly being used as Christian McCaffrey in Atlanta, I'm buying into that. For a player that is immensely talented, he is in the prime of his career, and we have not seen the best of Bijan Robinson. Draft him as much as you can. All right, everyone, before I get up out of here, again, you have to get entered to win that golden toilet trophy from our friends at Trophy Smack. Follow those details, get in it today, as well as make your drafts easier, win more of your leagues, and just have fun in your drafts with the Draft Wizard app, or visit fantasypros.com/draftwizard right now. Redraft season is back. Enjoy it. Get these running backs on your teams now.